Welcome back to the channel, guys. Let me take my phone out of my pocket, which is what I tell everybody when we're taking photos. Okay, so today we are at Skylinks in Long Beach, and this is a location that we've never shot at before. So because of that reason, we showed up here about 40 minutes early. It's not a huge location, so there's not a ton that changes or a ton of places that we're going to be going to, but still I wanted to see, okay, what do we have to work with? Where is the sun going to be, which is actually back here? Where can we shoot families? The biggest thing for me that I look for is where can I find an area that's wide enough where I can shoot families and wedding party. The bride and groom, we can shoot them in the smallest area. As long as there's good lighting, we can shoot them just about anywhere. But when you have 5 bridesmaids and 5 groomsmen, and then you have families that you need to do, you need to find an area that's wide enough with good lighting that's going to work for family photos. This area, although it's where we would ideally want to do family photos, is probably not going to work because the sun is coming from this direction and I don't want the sun blasting them in the face while we're taking family photos. So what I want to do is when we were walking into this building, there's an area up there with grass, with trees. If those trees cast enough shadow, enough shade, that might actually work. If not, we're going to have to find an area where we can shoot mostly this direction in order to not have the sun blasting on me. I know right now it's not too crazy, but there's a little bit of overcast clouds. I always assume that those clouds are going to pass. Don't assume because it's nice right now and it's overcast and we can get away with shooting this way that it's going to stay that way. You're setting yourself up for failure because if it changes, now you're kind of screwed. You need to figure out a different angle. So I'm going to assume that the sun is going to come out and it's going to be blasting. Therefore, I'm going to go and look for a spot where we can do families where it's in the shade. So that's the biggest hurdle that we have today. And that's why we're here early. So we're going to go and look around. So I just found this little area where the tree is casting a little bit of shade. As long as they're okay with us being on this path, which I have to confirm with the planner, this would actually work because even though I'm getting a little tiny bit of spotty lighting and our background is going to be nice greenery in the back. This could work, but like I said, if the overcast lighting stays over there, we can use the front. It's just a matter of lighting when the family portion comes and the wedding party portion comes. So yeah, we're just gonna see. We're gonna walk around a little bit more and then we're gonna go and get started with the getting ready portion of the day. So right now we're doing some flat lays. We keep it fairly simple. I know some people get really, really elaborated with it or complicated with it. We try to keep it fairly simple, just capture the details. So that way we can start focusing on the very important bits, which is first look with dad, portraits with her and her girls. We try to make it pretty. We do our details and then we move on from there. So right now we're doing this, and then she wanted to do a first look with her father. So we're gonna do that in a few minutes after we do the dress photo and she gets in it, obviously. And for this, I could use a macro lens, but usually I use a 35 to 150 from Tamron, or if I have my 70 to 180 on me and it's handy, I'll tend to use that because the focusing distance on that one is much closer. But as you guys are seeing, this one is, for details, it's very, very good. And the reason I'm bouncing flash is so the light looks like it's coming from a certain direction. And I can shoot and it looks clean in here. It's not mixing lighting. So that's the idea. That's why we're using a flash. Cool. And now we're going to do the dress back here. The only thing with the dress is we're going to close the shears a little bit so it looks nicer. So we don't have this open area like this. So we're going to slide this a little bit behind this if we can. Good? Cool. All right. So I didn't film an outro in that video because at the end of the night, we ended up staying a little extra. We were filming a bunch of stuff and I was just exhausted by the end of it. I think we ended up staying like 45 minutes extras. But in any case, with this wedding, and I have it right in front of me, that's why I'm looking over here, we ended up using that area that I discussed in the beginning where we were shooting where the tree was casting shade. And because of that, it made our lives a lot easier. I didn't want to place them in an area where I needed to keep blasting them with flash because that's only going to slow us down. So my goal, even though we're very heavy on using off-camera lighting for at least the photos that we use to advertise our work with, for the most part, I try to stick with natural light. So it's not about learning how to do off-camera lighting and then just overusing it and abusing it all the time. It's about understanding lighting and keeping it as simple as possible. The simpler you keep things, the less can go wrong. So in this situation, we kept them in the shade, we didn't use a flash, and we were just shooting with them in an area where I knew the light was going to be nice and even on them. Was it harsh behind them? Yes, a little bit, especially earlier in the day, because it was, like I was saying in the beginning, a very harsh day. And just as predicted, even though it was overcast in the beginning of the day, by the time we started, it was just hard light coming from the worst direction possible. So we did the wedding party, the girls on the side, and then after that, we photographed the ceremony. Ceremony was very harsh on them, but there's nothing you can do about that. I can't tell them to switch the angle of the ceremony. That's just where it is. And then after the ceremony, we ended up taking the couple down to take portraits with them. This venue did it a little bit differently. We took them down to do portraits, and then we came back and did family photos. Typically, we do family photos right after the ceremony, but I didn't want to throw the venue off as far as their catering, how they do things and for cocktail hours. So I don't know if there's a reason why they do it that way, where they send the couple first and then come back. But the reason I was okay with it is because while I took the couple away and we did some portraits with them, the lighting got a little bit easier by the time we returned. And even the photos that we were taking with the couple, by the time we got there, it was a lot closer to sunset, which gave us really beautiful photos and really beautiful lighting. As you guys are seeing some of the photos right now, we ended up using off-camera lighting for a couple of frames, but for the most part, we ended up staying with natural light, and it just looks really pretty. We don't need to go crazy. Like I said, if we don't need to use off-camera lighting, we don't do it. After we brought them back, we got the family. We did family photos in the same area that we did the girls before, the wedding party, the same area where we did the bridesmaids. And then once we did all those groupings there, we did the full wedding party. So bridesmaids, groomsmen, everybody in that same area. By that time, you see a big difference between when we were doing photos with the girls earlier in the day and when we were doing the full wedding party once we got back. The trees are a lot softer in the back. You're not fighting that midday sun in the background. So the main takeaway from this wedding, this experience in this video is try to keep things as simple as possible and always assume that the sun is going to come out. I don't care how overcast it is. I mean, obviously within reason, guys. I'm not insane here. I understand if you're shooting in Seattle, it's probably not going to get all sunny halfway through the day. But if you're shooting anywhere else but the northwest of this country, of America, it's probably going to get sunny sometime throughout the day. So just assume for that. Don't expect things to run perfectly because you're setting yourself up to get upset and get angry later. So keep it simple. Find an area where you can shoot, assuming you can shoot a wider group, not just the bride and groom. Bride and groom, that's an easy place to find. All you need is a couple of square feet and you can shoot them just about anywhere. With the whole group, you need a wider space. Keep that in mind. Let me know what you guys think about this video. I wanted to keep it as simple as possible. Like I said, I didn't have time to film this outro. This wedding was like, I think a month ago. We already delivered the whole thing. Thanks to Aftershoot and, probably 20 years of practice, we can edit very, very quickly. If you want to check out a video about Aftershoot, AI editing, we have a few of those videos. Go and check them out. But in any case, if you got some value out of this video, if you enjoyed our content, feel free to subscribe. And yeah, I hope you guys have a great week.